This episode is brought to you by Belfour Spirits. Belfour Spirits is a newly formed whiskey brand created by, you guessed it, Eddy the Eagle Belfour. Eddy's next chapter, Life After Hockey, Belfour Spirits was created in 2014 with his son Dane and daughter Regan. Belfour Spirits sells rye whiskey, bourbon whiskey finished with Texas pecan wood, and his limited edition straight rye whiskey that are set to go on sale this October in Illinois and Texas. For more information about Belfour Spirits and where to buy his products, go to belfourspirits.com. That's belfourspirits.com.
Hey, this is Derek D-Train He2. Tonight's episode is brought to you by
KingTutGraphics.com. Are you looking for a better way to promote your business? Have you ever thought about a new sign, window film, clear coat, or even wrapping your vehicle? Think about it. All the time you spend in your car driving around Raleigh, North Carolina, a vehicle wrap can be working right alongside you. A clear branding strategy can make the difference between your next call or not. If you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, check them out at KingTutGraphics.com. Your satisfaction with their products and service is guaranteed. So go online to KingTutGraphics.com and check them out. Get a free quote and get started with KingTutGraphics.com.
Hello, welcome back to the Blue Line Hockey Club, folks. We have another exciting episode tonight, episode 79. We have all the usual suspects sitting in the house tonight. We have the guy that makes it happen, our producer, Patrick Uncle Lardy Sullivan. What's up, Patrick?
Aloha.
And our IT guy, the local nerd on staff, Robbie Pete Peters. What's up, Pete?
Hey, how you mom and them?
And all-around sports guru, Derek D-Train He2. What's up, D-Train?
What's up, Sweeto?
And your host of the Blue Line Hockey Club tonight, Mark the Dr. Morley.
Oh, doctor.
Tonight's episode is presented by Belfour Spirits, Born for Glory. And we have the founders of Belfour Spirits actually sitting with us, the Blue Liners tonight. We have the Hall of Famer Eddy Belfour and his son Dane Belfour. What's up, guys?
Hey, Blue Liners. It's great to be here, and we get a chance to talk whiskey and hockey. We're happy to be here. Thank you. Love the center on the blue line, right where they need to be, protecting us from last line of defense. Until you guys get to us, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having us.
We know a lot about both. Trust us.
Yeah, so it seems like whiskey and hockey players might go hand in hand a little bit. Just a little bit about you and Dane getting into the whiskey business. Was this something that you guys started out maybe as a little hobby, and then now you're full-fledged manufacturing across the United States and Dallas and Chicago?
Well, that would be highly illegal. But I will tell you, we did buy a 5-gallon still about 5 years ago. So,
off the record.
We know nothing about gray areas.
Well, whiskey and hockey definitely go together. And, growing up in Canada, got to drink a lot of rye whiskey. So, after our careers were finished, we thought we wanted to do something that was as exciting or as close to as exciting as playing hockey and being with the guys and being with our teammates. And, we looked into a few different businesses, but we started looking into the whiskey business, and it just made sense. It's a very creative industry, a lot of fun producing, all different types of whiskeys. And we've got 2 different types of rye whiskeys, and one bourbon finished with Texas pecan. And my son Dane, sitting here, he got to do an internship at Woody Creek Distillery, where he worked at the distillery all day long, and he coached hockey at night. So it was a perfect fit. And he made our first 12 barrels there, and that's our VIP bottle. Looks very similar to the Stanley Cup, and we're very proud of that. And Dane can tell you a little bit about that because he made it.
Yeah, Dane, let us fill us in on that. Like for the listeners, a lot of us have trouble distinguishing between rye, bourbon, and whiskey. I mean, it's just what's going into our Coke a lot of the time. So, fill us in on the differences. But let's hear a little bit about your specialty rye that you created first.
Absolutely, it'd be an honor. So I'll start it off just a little bit educational. The difference between rye and bourbon is primarily the grain used to create the spirit that you are classifying. Rye would be made with at least 51% rye grain in the mash bill in a brand new white American oak charred barrel. Bourbon, instead of rye grain, you would use the corn grain, and you would use at least 51% corn in the mash bill, and that would go in a brand new American white oak barrel. Whiskey discloses that it is a spirit that has been aged in oak. So you could use a few different types of grain to achieve that. And of course, some people reuse their barrels. Back to my rye, our limited edition VIP rye. It is a 100 proof spirit, so that is a 50% alcohol, so a little bit more bang for your buck, zip for your zang, heat on your tongue, whatever you want to call it, fire water. It is really delicious. It has very delicate notes of pear and green apple peel on the aromatics. It has a mid-palatability and a drinkability of cherry almond and a delicate follow-up with hints of smoke. It actually drinks very similar to a Scotch, which I got completely wrapped up in around the age of 21, 22, 23. I got into the Glenlivet, the Fiddick, and the Marangi at 18 years, and I just fell in love with it. So I created the first 12 barrels on Carl pot stills, and it's pretty drinkable. I'm very, very happy with it, and I can't wait to make some more of the juice. Yeah, and so everyone understands, Dane made 12 barrels, and it was our mash bill. It was Dane's hard work and effort that went into distilling those 12 barrels. It equates to approximately 2,700 bottles. And so that's why it's limited edition. We dumped 10 of those barrels. So right now we have approximately 2,400 bottles. We're saving 2 of those barrels back. One of those barrels will be brought to Canada next year, and we'll save the other one for something even more special. But our whiskeys, we tried to, right from the beginning, create something that's very smooth, very fresh aromas, and very unique flavors. And we've done that with the mash bills that we've chosen and with the barrel selections that we've made, which changed the flavor profiles dramatically. And the other thing that we do, which is quite different, is we do all our own blending, and we do all our proofing down right before we bottle, which makes a huge difference with the flavor profile. All of our products can be drank neat, all by themselves. They're sipping whiskeys. They do taste great on the rocks, and they're awesome in an old-fashioned Manhattan. They make great cocktails. So, we're looking forward to, sharing our products with as many hockey fans and other folks out there who love whiskey.
Yeah, so Eddie,
set 4 of those bottles aside for us real quick.
But I wanted to ask you, I'm a pretty impatient person, and I like to, when I want something, I want it like right away, this new age of technology. I imagine some of the hardest parts of making whiskey is waiting for it to be ready. How long do you guys have to age it for?
Yeah, so that's a good question. A lot of bourbons out there, you have to let it age 3-4 years before it starts tasting good. And with what we've done with our mash bill, we have a very balanced mash bills on every one of our products. And I believe that balancing that mash bill out and also the barrel selections that we've made, it helps the product age much quicker. And the flavor profile we found was tasting really good even at 6 months of age. So that is definitely hard to accomplish. And that was one thing we set out to do right from the beginning. And I think we've hit the nail on the head because, everybody we've tasted the products with, they love it. And, it's such a good feeling when you do a tasting with folks that, haven't tried your juice before, and you get that big smile on their face. And, that just makes us so proud that, we made that right from scratch. So that's an awesome feeling. I can tell you, fellas, every time we pulled samples from our barrels, we like to pull samples every 3 to 6 months just to make sure that we're keeping up with the product as it ages, because 3 to 6 months is definitely enough time for it to completely change in flavor profile and aromatics. So we would pull a couple bottles to see how they're doing, and you pour one glass and you feel a little bit of the heat, and you know that it needs a little bit more maturation in the barrel. Then 3 months go by and you pour another glass and compare it to the one you had previously, and you notice that bottle is empty by the time you're done comparing. So
That's a good sign.
very easy to get kind of wrapped up in it and just kind of take it all back. But it's nice to see how they grow and age. And at times of that aging, it's a little bit of a negative, but another 3-6 months go by and it almost gets better through this little limited window. It goes through a little phase where it's like, needs some more time and work, but then just around the bend and around the corner, it's like lights out. It's a shutout goaltender, right, Eddie? Yeah, that's for sure. And then like one thing that when we were doing all our research and development with our products, I would put 3 different products in front of Dane. I said, try this one and try the other 2, and tell me which one would you want to sip on all night long. And that's what we've tried to narrow in on, is that product that we can sip on all night long. We tested it. It's proven. It works.
I always had the problem with sipping. I usually drink.
Good problem to
Eddie,
have.
Eddie or Dean, who came up with the VIP bottle? That bottle is, to me, just perfectly simple with that cup on top. It's actually like one of those whiskey bottles that once you finish it, you put it somewhere, on your desk or your office or wherever. Who came up with that? That is a beautiful bottle.
Yeah, so it was a team effort for sure. Dane came up with the idea along with Randy Allender and Dallas Osborne when we were at Eurostampa doing our label selection. The bottle was probably version about 100. We've been working at the package, the bottle, and the labeling for about 2.5 years. We spent a lot of time on that.
Wow.
I have an art background, so I really wanted to perfect it. I wanted our bottle to be something special on the shelf. And like you said, after they're done drinking it, we want people to keep our bottle, as a momentum and something that they can show off to their friends. And, Peggy Stevens, she really helped us out quite a bit. And, everybody else on our team that had some input there, we took a little bit of everybody's ideas. And I think we've, again, come up with an awesome package. We're so proud of it. And like you said, there's nothing else like it.
And another thing to touch on, guys, about the bottle is not only is the bottle extremely aesthetically pleasing, it is highly functional. After my career with hockey, I went into bartending because I can't really sit still behind a desk after being cased in a net, my whole career. I got to move around and have some fun. So the stippling, which it primarily takes up, I'd say, 60 to 80% of the bottle's body, is great if you're a bartender and you body pour. It's great for grip if the bottle gets a little bit moist and it can easily slip out of your hands, or if you're a neck pour, it has a nice little edge underneath the neck that also aids to the juice pouring out of the bottle and a point of leverage for your thumb. And then leading up to the 1.5 ounce sterling silver jigger, the chalice or the cup on our VIP package, it's all functional as well as it is aesthetically pleasing. So just want to throw that in there too.
And the other thing about the package is that, we wanted to do something that was a throwback to the Gatsby era, the Art Deco. 100 years ago, that was the Roaring 20s, and it was a big party era. And, we wanted our bottle to represent that era also. So there was a lot of thought that went into that part of what was going on with the package too. The other thing that's kind of unique about it is the new eagle. That's something that one of my best friends from back home, Jeff Friesen, his daughter was born the year we won the cup. We have pictures of her in the Stanley Cup, and she is now 20 years old, and she's an artist, and she helped create that new eagle. So we're so awesome. Proud that Abby Friesen, she had a big hand in that.
Awesome.
That's great. Yeah, I'm not surprised that you came out with a dynamite bottle. It's really awesome. And, you being a goalie, having, I think, one of the first goalies to have home and away masks, and putting that art onto your goalie mask during your playing years, kind of similar to maybe what you're doing now, is creating art with your whiskey. And, I'm sure that you've always wanted to design your masks, as far as you always had awesome masks, and kind of like that was like your brand on your face while you're playing.
Yeah, very much so. So my first mask was made by Greg Harrison, and I was very thankful to get one of those masks, because back in those days you played with the regular forward helmet with a screen on it, and you ever took a slap shot to the head, you would get concussed pretty quickly and cut open. So that was nice to get that new mask. And I asked Greg Harrison to put a mean-looking bird on it, and he chose the eagle. And Mike Keenan started calling me Eddy the Eagle. So that was how the Eddy the Eagle mask was created. The versions after that, I had a big hand in help creating the artwork for those masks. And you're right, I really did enjoy that part of it. Like I said, I was always involved in art as a kid. I still remember when I was in grade 3, I made these 2 posters, these artworks of Tony Esposito, which was my favorite goalie as a kid, and I won first prize at the Carmen Fair. It was $5 back then in a red ribbon, so I was very proud about that.
Eddy, you've got a little bit of interest in old school cars and stuff too, right? So that maybe plays into the whole artistic vibe thing.
Yeah, for sure. I had Carman Incorporated while I was playing hockey. We restored muscle cars and did some street rods, and that's where my relationship with Jeff Friesen was. He helped me out a lot with those cars and ran our shop in Michigan. So always enjoyed creating new projects, whether it be a 70 CUDA with a 446 pack that made 650 horsepower, or the drag race cars that we were involved in. I always enjoyed that side of things, for sure.
So Dane and Eddy, being the competitive people that you are, I'm not sure what Dane's career was, but it's obviously Eddy being a Hall of Famer, gold medal winner, a Stanley Cup winner, NCAA winner. If you don't know who Eddy Belfour is, you've been under a rock for the last 20 years. So, you guys being so competitive and wanting to be the best at what you do, you bring that to the table with your whiskey, like with your cars, the same kind of thing. When you put something on the table, you want it to be the best product out there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We have a lot of pride. We pay attention to detail. And, I've always been that way. Created most of my equipment, had a patent on my skate blades, and always wanted to be the best that I could be. Always wanted to be the best, whenever I played, every night, played every game like it was my last. And we treat our whiskey business the same way. We get up every morning, we get together, and we work at our business, our trade, and we try to perfect it. And, I didn't sit on my laurels, after winning the Calder when I was a rookie. That's one thing you learn rather quickly, is you have to get better every year in the NHL. And if you don't, there's going to be, some young guys that are chomping at the bit and they want your job. So you have to learn every year new skills. You have to get in better shape every year. And that's what I strive to be every year, was to be better, because I didn't want to be replaced. And I think that was one of the reasons why I got to play so long. And, it means a lot to us that we do the same with our whiskey business. We want people to sip on our whiskey, and when they do, they think, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. and they want to buy the second and third and fourth and fifth bottle because, we want to be one of the best whiskeys in the world.
That's really tough to follow, guys.
Yeah.
So,
Hey.
I'm just extremely happy to be here. One thing I can say that I've learned is I learned to play the game by just watching my dad on TV and going to all the games, and that was something that I always cherished as a player myself. I learned to love things because of how much love I saw my dad put into just about everything. He's 54 years old and I'm 30 now, and we just got done working out. We haven't played hockey for years really competitively. We just screw around a little bit here and there, but we're still doing our rehab from our previous surgeries. We're trying to keep our gears going, and I would have never had that honor and appreciation if it weren't if I weren't able to follow somebody like my father.
Dean, what kind of goalie were you? Were you kind of in the face guy like your father, or what was your style?
I definitely liked playing the puck. That was one of my most proudest moments when I got to skate out of the net because they wouldn't let me go past the red line. I watched Patrick try that one year. It was hilarious.
You ever hit anybody when you're out or no?
Pardon me?
You ever hit anybody when you're out or no?
You know what? I've definitely hit a few people, and I've definitely gotten hits. I was never afraid to race for the puck.
I was at one of those games, and I almost jumped on the ice. I was so mad.
My baby boy.
He did the right thing. He got to the puck first. He raced the puck for the puck all the way to the blue line. He got there, but the guy was a dirty player, and he just ran Dane. And that's the chance you take sometimes when you go out like that, and some guys are dirty like that.
Did everybody get his mask off or no?
That's when Crazy Eddy came out.
Well, like I said, I almost did but it's hard watching your son as a goalie. You're sitting there on the edge of your seat, and I look back at my career, and I feel so sorry for my mom because she was always screaming the loudest in the crowd, and you could always hear my mom. So I know she was on the edge of her seat when I played too.
Yeah, it must be pretty cool that you guys can continue a tradition. Family is huge to me and my family, and being able to do something with your son like this, must have brought you guys even closer. I'm sure you're seeing each other all the time now with the business and discussing different things that are going to happen. I mean, there's so much that goes into, when you first started, you probably didn't realize, okay, the packaging, the marketing, the distilling, distributing. I mean, it's probably overwhelming in the first parts of it.
Yeah, so you're definitely right about that. There's a lot of things that we didn't know, and we learned rather quickly. And, we pay attention to details, and we care about everything we do. And that's why, we've been at this for 5 years. We've gone to 2 different schools to learn as much as we can about this. And we've tried to surround ourselves with really good people that have been in the industry for 30 plus years. And that's really helped us out a lot. But it's like, when I first signed with the Blackhawks, and they sent me to the minors. I didn't want to be in the minors. I wanted to be in Chicago, and I felt I deserved to be there. But, I spent 3 years in the minors, and that was the best thing for my career because, it helped me learn the real game, the professional game, riding the buses and, not getting much sleep, playing 3 games in 3 nights. And once I got my chance to play in Chicago, I was hungry and I was ready. And I believe that really helped me, be Rookie of the Year and win all those trophies and, help me throughout the rest of my career. And I think that's really going to help us too. These 5 years that we've worked on every aspect of our whiskey business is going to help us, be a lot better as we go along.
Eddy, you were undrafted, correct, too, coming out of college after winning a national championship at University of North Dakota. I mean, that must have put a little bit of chip on your shoulder and kind of maybe perhaps part of the drive that you have going throughout the rest of your life, really, or no?
Yeah. So, I grew up in a little town, Carmen, Manitoba, 2,000 people, farming community. And I remember when I was 18, sitting in front of the TV watching the draft, and I was hoping that I was going to get drafted. And of course, playing, little towns like that, you don't get noticed. And I didn't play Tier 1 hockey. I played all the Tier 2 stuff, and ended up playing in Winkler with the Flyers, getting there as an 18-year-old. And I played 3 years there, so a very late bloomer, and just fortunate enough to get an opportunity to go play for the Fighting Sioux, which is where I wanted to play. And definitely, thought that I was good enough to be drafted, and I was hoping to be drafted by the Winnipeg Jets, but, maybe they just overlooked me or whatever. That easily happens in a lot of cases back then. And, for me, getting a chance to go to the University of North Dakota and play for the Fighting Sioux, that was a dream come true. And going there and 40 wins, 8 losses, and they called our team the Dream Team to this day, and winning the NCAA. I mean, that was amazing. And for me, I was on top of the world. And then, I had like 6-7 teams that wanted to sign me as a free agent. And I was like, wow, this is, incredible. Went from the Winkler Flyers 1 year to the Sioux, and then, get a chance to sign with my favorite team, the Blackhawks. So, that was just an awesome time.
Eddy, I'm curious. We for the most part know about all the accolades and all the good stuff. Were there any struggles? Were there any hard times?
Oh, for sure. There always is in everything. I always talk about that with our team right now. There's going to be, things that happen that we can't predict, and, bumps in the road, and, we just take it in stride, and we learn from things, and we work together through them. It's the same way at the college level. It's the same way at the pros. There's going to be times when things just happen. I remember one year, I think we lost 12 games in a row in Chicago, and, of course, the media is going crazy and calling us, a bunch of losers, not going to make the playoffs, and blah, blah, blah. And, of course, we had enough character on that team. We turned it around, and we made the playoffs. And, there's going to be times like that. And, for me, one of the toughest times was losing in the finals in '92 to Pittsburgh. We won 11 games straight to go to the finals, and then we lost 4 straight in the finals. Well, that was very heartbreaking. Being traded from Chicago, my favorite team, that was one of the saddest days of my career. But, things happen, and you pick your head up and you move on, and you get better and you learn from it. I went to San Jose on that trade. I was only there for 3 months, but I got to sign with the Dallas Stars that summer as a free agent and go on to win the Stanley Cup in '99. I mean, that was my dream, ever since I was like 4 or 5 years old to win the Stanley Cup. So, of course, there's going to be a lot of things that happen, and you just have to. You learn from the mistakes. You pick your head up, and you just move on.
Yeah, the reason I say that is, nobody gets to see all the hard work that's done in the background. We get to see the games, the wins, eventually the Stanley Cup. I just think that is, it's transferable to business. And, I think from what we can see so far, you can see all the attention to detail in your product. I can't wait to try some myself.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, all those lessons and being fortunate enough to play on so many great teams, it's a real blessing, to 40 wins, 8 losses in college, and being part of the Canada Cup teams, the gold medal team in '02, Team Canada, of course the Stanley Cup. I mean, you get to play with great players like Brett Hull and Mike Modano and Chris Chelios and Jeremy Roenick, and there's so many, Guy Carbonneau, so many great players that I got to play with, and you see all their great habits, and you're like, hey, you know what? I really am doing the right things here, because you look at the winners around you, and look at all the Hall of Famers that I got to play with, and the great coaches that I got to play under. Gino Gasparini at North Dakota, Mike Keenan in Chicago, Daryl Sutter in Chicago, Ken Hitchcock, Pat Quinn. All those guys I got to play for, they just resonated, hard work, determination, passion.
For the love of the game.
Yeah, for the love of the game, for sure. And, we've tried to portray that to our teammates on Belfour Spirits. And you know what? They get it. They know what we're talking about. When we start talking about these analogies, sure, they have a laugh about it once in a while, but they understand what we're talking about and pay attention to the details and, put in hard work every day and, treat everybody that we meet. Everybody that we meet is going to be a Belfour Spirits ambassador. And we just didn't want to slap our name on a bottle and buy bulk spirit like a lot of these other celebrities that are doing this right now. For like the last 4 or 5 years, you see all these brands coming out. They had nothing to do with the whiskey. The whiskeys that go into those bottles are bulk spirits. We didn't want to have that with our brand. And we want our teammates to be behind us and believe in us. So that's why we pay attention to these details. That's why we go out of our way to do everything, 100% and do it right.
Well, for God's sake, I'm about to run through a wall and join your team after hearing all this.
Yeah, that's the type of players we need.
You bet. Yeah, sign us up.
Elbows out, boys. Yeah, elbows out. Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure.
You gotta get the Boyle out, boys.
Eddy, with all those guys you just named, a lot of them Hall of Famers, how did you prepare for games, especially in '99 when you won the Cup? I mean, you beat Patrick Waugh in the conference finals, and then you had to beat Hasek in the Stanley Cup. One of my best friends, Andy Tinty, he's a goalie, and when he heard that you were coming on, he wanted to know, how did you prepare before each game? Players today throw tennis balls against the wall or kick a soccer ball around. But what did you do?
I usually start out with a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah.
Cigarette.
Oh no, it all started back when you first turn pro. There's so many things you got to learn, and you try to create a routine that gives you that magical feeling, so that when you get on the ice, you're just totally focused. You don't hear the crowd. You just see the puck. You anticipate everything. You just know where the puck's going before it goes there. And I think for me, there was a lot of things that I did, like you said, play with the tennis balls, which I learned from Vladislav Tretiak. He was my goalie coach. I mean, I couldn't have had a better goalie coach. And the warm-up routine that I did before the game, which got my legs and my hand-eye coordination going, all those things come into play. And then when I got on the ice, I just did the same thing every time based on how I felt. Sometimes if you feel a little tired, you work harder, or sometimes, you take it easy and reserve energy. All those things you learn over playing so many games, and, you have to try this or try that, and, which foods make you feel the best. And, sooner or later you create that routine that puts you in the zone. And that's what I always strive for, is to be in that zone.
Fleury, when we had Theo Fleury on, he said the same thing at first, maybe a little scotch and then one cigarette, and he was just ready to fucking roll.
Nice start.
Yeah, that's the tradition of goalies, right? I think Tony O used to drink a 6-pack the night before every game, I was told. So,
hey, Dane,
stories.
You still around over there?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes,
what do you remember most about in 1999? You're probably 10 years old when your dad won that cup. Do you have some fond memories of that?
I can tell you where I was, and I can tell you how I felt. I can tell you my sister was asleep on the brown leather sectional couch that we had in Capel. I want to say it was around 2:30 or something in the morning. I can't even recall on that full detail. I was so locked into the TV like a Twilight Zone. My mom, Rita, she was getting tired, so she went for a walk around the house. And as soon as she kind of took a turn around by the stairs, we scored. Holly scored. We buried it, and I stood up on the couch screaming, and I was like, "Oh my God, we won the cup!" I'm freaking out. Like I've watched my dad, my whole life, that I can, acknowledge. I've seen his perseverance and how he's endured and how much drive and passion he had for the love of the game and, to hoist the cup over his head and, prove to everybody that, he's, the best, one of the best goalies in the world. And it inspired me. It helped push me through my career. It's a great foundation of my life, and I'll never forget it. I wish I was out there on the frickin' ice with them guys. My dad's other best friend and assistant at the time, Buddy Vaught, he called me right away. They were on the ice screaming, and Buddy was like, "Dang, we won that cup!" I love you, buddy.
Awesome.
It was just
Pretty sure
it was electric. It was the most electrifying feeling I could ever experience.
Had to be.
Awesome.
Yeah, very magical.
I know
So
where
Dave,
I was.
You do too, Pat? Nice.
I do too. Yep.
So Dane, why don't you fill the listeners in, and everybody out there where they should go to find your product, where your products are released right now, and how they can pick them up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're located in 2 markets currently, out of Illinois and out of Texas. In Texas, we are distributing with Southern Glazers. Very, very honored to be a partner with them. We also will be distributing through the Class B of Seagulls and Goody Goodies here in Texas. We definitely hope to establish some more relationships in the near future. And in Illinois, you can find us at Garfield's. You can find us Sal's, and I'm not sure Kenwood's. I think I don't know if Benny's is jumping on the train yet. They might be, but we still might have to work on them a little bit. So you'll be able to find it in the Chicago Metroplex areas and the Dallas Metro, and Seagulls and Goody Goodies, Garfield's, Kenwood, Sal's, and Benny's, I believe.
Houston, Austin, and San Antonio also.
Yeah, those are big markets for us that are coming up. One of my best friends, Nick Lazorko, I played with him junior hockey in Winkler, and I played with him over in Sweden when we were playing in Division I league. He's moving down to Houston, actually, I think in the next couple of months, and he's going to manage sales for us down there. He was a 104-point guy, goal scorer, so I think he's going to do fine for sales with me. He's a hard-working fella. I know he's going to close the deal and get those goals for us, get those sales. And I'll just pass him the puck from the goal line like I did for him while we were in juniors.
Yeah, we plan on going to 6 new markets every year. So hopefully next year we'll be in Florida, New York, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Missouri, and we're going to Canada next year. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hey, fellas, you got any last questions for Eddy before we let him go here? Any hockey questions or anything?
One more. I just wanted to ask him about when you went nuts over that controversial call there versus the Blues in '93. Do you remember that one, Eddy?
I think maybe Brett Hall was involved in that, wasn't he?
Yes.
Bobby.
Yeah, I went behind the net to play the puck, and Brett kind of ran into me. Of course, he argues that he didn't. we have some good laughs over that one for sure. But yeah, I wasn't too happy about that.
You tried to break the stick twice. It didn't work. So that even makes him more pissed off, doesn't it? When your goalie tries to break the stick.
Yeah, those Christian hockey sticks.
Those are like,
yeah.
Christian.
They're made out of that good white oak in Minnesota that we use for our barrels.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brett Hull, was he drinking Belfour spirits during the playoffs last year?
Did you guys give him a
He was drinking something.
He was definitely having fun. I wish we were there with him. Maybe a little fire water, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. I think he might have been one of your taste testers before a couple of those games.
Yeah, he could have. Not our juice, though.
He's a classic. We love him around here. He's a beauty. But hey, boys, we really appreciate you taking time on your day and coming on with the Blue Liners tonight and filling us in on what's going on with Belfour Spirits. Sounds like a great product, and we're definitely going to be pushing our show tonight out in the Dallas and Texas area, and also out in Chicago to help maximize our listeners in those two markets for you guys. So we're hoping that we can really push this show and get some more sales for you guys. And we wish you the best of luck. And hopefully we'll reconnect at some point.
Well, thanks a lot, Blue Liners, and you know what? We need to send you guys some juice up there. So give us your addresses, and we'll send some up there so you guys can enjoy some Belfour Spirits.
Ooh,
that'd be awesome.
Perfect.
Sounds great, sir.
Camping out by the mailbox tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks for having us, guys. You guys take
Thanks,
care.
Eddie. It was an honor. Dean,
It
thanks.
was an honor, Dane. Thanks, Eddie. You too.
Thanks, Eddie. Yeah, man. We appreciate it greatly.
Yep. You bet.
That's
Go to the net hard, boys.
Yeah,
Always.
baby.
Keep your
Yes,
head
sir.
up.
Always.
All right, great interview with product that they're bringing in at belfourspirits.com. If you haven't gone to their website and checked it out yet, make sure you're getting on. Check out belfourspirits.com. You can see their product on there and their story. What a great story of father and son bringing together a cool business, and just really paying attention to detail like they talked about, and coming up with something that's just dynamite right off the chute. So I think they're doing great things. They didn't go mediocre. They're not selling a $20 bottle of whiskey. You're going to get a high-end product, and you're going to be satisfied with it. And I think they've hit it spot on there as far as creating something special.
Yeah, their attention to detail on the entire process was right down to the finest of detail. I couldn't believe it.
It's not like that $8 handle of Popov's vodka we got in college.
You can find jet fuel anywhere. This is going to be good tasty.
This is gonna be, I can't wait. I was gonna order one anyways. Like I said, the bottle itself is something that,
just to have a bottle,
being we're all hockey guys, we love hockey, and to have that somewhere and say, that's Eagle Eye's fucking bottle, him and his son, is something to say. But I'm a whiskey drinker, a rye drinker, whatever. I'll drink kerosene if that's all there is. But I can't wait to try it. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, those guys, man. It's gotta be kind of weird to be the son of a great like that. You know what I mean? That's gotta be kind of a different perspective, different way to grow up than any of us really understand. You know what I mean? But both those guys, obviously, his father has rubbed off on him greatly. They're both perfectionists.
Yeah.
It comes. I guess it's the goaltending thing, right? I mean, when you're a goalie, it all comes down to the details. So. I thought that was pretty cool. Again, two humble guys, Eddy Belfour, one of the, probably one of the greatest goalies ever. Just as humble as talking to your buddy, that you've grown up with your whole life. So I think I'm always impressed with that, no matter who we talk to on this program, as far as the player, it kind of always surprises me, but I guess at this point it should quit surprising me. But I don't know. I look forward to trying the product. If it's, if they pay attention to the detail on how that thing tastes, I think we're all going to have lost eyes and enjoy it greatly. So,
might be dangerous Thanksgiving.
I got to remember shots, not glasses.
Sips,
Rob.
Sips.
Rob.
We'll hide it. We'll hide every sip every time.
Somebody ration it to them. We don't need with marker on his face.
You guys remember
somebody's going to be falling over. Somebody's falling over backwards
at the high school graduation party when I was making drinks for Rob at Mighty B's and gin and tonic, and I didn't put any tonic.
99% gin.
Rob didn't know where the fuck he was. And the party, the grown-ups haven't even showed up yet. Rob's just fucking stumbling, drooling. He had drool down his neck. That was all to me, Rob. You're welcome, Rob.
That was you, huh? That was you.
So you're the reason all the parents didn't like him. So another great interview. I'm so excited to have Eddy on tonight, and his son Dane. What an awesome interview to bring those guys on the show and also be able to help them promote their product with our program here at the Blue Line Hockey Club. And just exciting for the program, exciting for their whiskey product, and all good things. So let's break out into the NHL news for tonight. The NHL news is brought to you by Belfour Spirits, of course. So get on belfourspirits.com, check them out. If you haven't heard about Belfour Spirits, then rewind the next 30 minutes of the show and you'll hear all about it. So, all right, boys, let's get into a little NHL news. Patrick, give us a rundown. What's up?
Yeah, just a quick rundown for you and Derek. I see Lundqvist got 450th win. That's pretty big. Finally, the number one and number two draft picks finally getting their first goals. That's pretty big. They went on like a 5-game slump, so everyone was talking about that. Other rookies that are ripping up the NHL lately, Victor Olson from Buffalo Sabres, or Golfson we call him. He's had 5 goals, has 5 goals and 2 assists in 6 games. He actually set an NHL record with his first 7 goals, all coming from the PP unit. So that's pretty big. It's helping out Buffalo. Go Buffalo, AP. Cale Makar from University of Massachusetts, Morley's college there, playing for Colorado. He's got 6 assists in 5 games. 4 of his are coming on the power play unit too. So that's huge. Actually, my pick for the Stanley Cup. Just want to throw that in there again. Avalanche are on to one of their best starts since the 2013-2014 season. 3 stars this week for the NHL. David Pastrnak just had a crazy week. He had 9 points, 7 goals, 3 assists in 3 games. That top line there in Boston, it goes Pastrnak, Bergeron, and Marchand with points. Pastrnak has 15. John Carlson, defenseman for Capitals, another big week, 8 points, 7 assists, 1 goal. That's coming in 4 games. And then wrapping up Buffalo Sabres, Carter Hutton, 72 saves, 2 shutouts. That's huge for Buffalo. I mean, a lot of the news these days is just Buffalo. I mean, the goalie, the rookie on the team, everything's just gelling there, and I don't want to jinx them, but they're doing great. Malkin and Galchenyuk finally got on the ice. They're skating on their own, not with the team in Pittsburgh. This weekend, the Heritage Classic starts. That's in Regina, Saskatchewan. That's 10 p.m. this Saturday. Not Regina. Flames versus Canucks. 2019 Tim Hortons NHL Heritage Classic this Saturday at 10 o'clock. Flames versus Canucks. And another big news, last one, wrap it up. Brian Boyle finally signed a contract with the Florida Panthers. 1 year, $940,000. He's older. He's 34. I mean, I shouldn't say older. Jesus, we're 40. But he's got 766 NHL games and 216 points. So that's the news here in the NHL. Yes, sir.
That is the rundown. You did see Minnesota got a W yesterday against the Habs, which was you would think they won a playoff game if you watched the game, of how excited these guys were. Even every goal that they scored, they were showing extreme emotion after the goal. Like Parise got a goal, and you would think that it was a game winner in a playoff game. I mean, they just were hungry to get a W. There's been a lot of talk about the coach and Zucker calling out the coach, calling out the program, the players. So that was a huge win for Minnesota. I thought they played pretty well. Their power play finally started to gel a little bit. They had a power play goal. Saw Foligno get another goal. He's still playing well. So it was good to see Minnesota get a W, get out of that loss column for for once, and I think that's going to be a little bit of confidence for them going into the next few games. Some of their big time scorers just need to get on the score sheet, get a little confidence, because the whole team has been, like Pat said, I think they've been pointing some fingers in the locker room, and they can't seem to find a win. So that was good. Dubes played well in that. He had some pretty big saves, and they didn't win by a landslide. They kind of squeaked it out in third. So.
Yeah, and they got 2 guys on the injured reserve. Zooks came over from the Rangers this offseason. He's out with a lower body injury. He's been out since October 12th. He's missed 3 games, which is pretty big because, like we said before in other podcasts, he's cross ice guy, playmaker. And then Greg Pattern's out too, he's big on the defense score. So, big win for Minnesota. Hopefully it turns things around. We'll see what happens. Dubes got his first win, yeah.
Nailed it.
Out in Edmonton, we saw James Neal pop another one the other night.
He's on fire, yeah.
Just continuing to score. We've been talking about him for the last couple of weeks, so we'll see how he does this week and see if he can keep up his point production. Seems to be, one of the stars for Edmonton and get wins this year, so we'll see how long that lasts.
Big pickup for Edmonton. What's up on the Tkachuk Doughty? Did you guys see that little saga still going on? What do you guys think about that?
It's kind of crazy how these sagas start, with Tkachuk and Doughty and Kane and Reeves, and so it kind of like is a buildup for the 2 teams to play, though. Whenever those 2 teams play, the fans are kind of into it to see what happens between those 2 players and what's going to happen throughout the game between those 2 guys. Yeah, so it kind of creates a little
don't you feel like it's like I feel like there was a lot more of this, back, years ago.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, they're making like a big deal out of it now. I watched watched a little clip that Uncle Artie sent across to take a look at between these 2, and it's like, I haven't really seen anything that would make one person hate the other so much. I think it's a bunch of horse shit too. Like when a guy's a rookie in the league, right? And so he elbows a guy in the face, and because he's a rookie, he's disrespecting the guy. And come on, they're playing hockey. So
right.
I'm not sure I really understand the whole hatred between the 2, but they're 2 great talents. Tkachuk's trying to put his footprint on the ground. Doughty's been around the league a little longer, so maybe Doughty feels threatened, man. So maybe he's a little bit insecure about the whole thing, which makes him pissed off at the guy. But I don't get it. I think it's just normal. I think it's great. I think it's good for the game. I wish there was more of it, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think it's really good for the game, and I wish across the league there was more of this stuff, frankly.
Old hockey feel, this is what it was back in the day. Derek and I never really thought about it that way. Like back in the day, it was like this happened all the time. Like it was almost they couldn't keep up with it, right? But you think about it sells fucking tickets when December 7th is when the Kings and Flames play again, and like I think it's in Calgary. And, a lot of people buy tickets just because, Doughty and Tkachuk are going to be on the ice. So it's great for the game. It is old school. This is what we like. And there needs to be more of it, for sure.
Yeah, anything to create.
Yeah, they asked Brady Tkachuk about it, too, a little bit,
that.
Yeah, and he was kind of like, he didn't really blow it off, but he was just like, listen, my brother's a competitor, man. Just because your name's Drew Doughty doesn't mean I'm going to back down to you or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. I like it. I like it, frankly. I think all his teammates, I think all of Tkachuk's teammates in Calgary love the guy. I would love playing with a guy like that. You know what I mean? I think it's great, man. I love guys that are gritty, hard-nosed players. You don't get as much of that anymore, and I guess maybe I'm just nostalgic for the old days, but I think those players are like a dime a dozen now, but I love seeing it.
Me too.
Yeah, what else are they going to ask Brady when he's 1-5? They're like, let's ask him about his brother.
Yeah.
Ask him what his brother's doing. Poor kid.
I don't think it blew out of proportion when Doughty, reporters asked him what they thought of Tkachuk, and he just, and I quote, "No respect for him, none. I respect everyone else. I will never talk to him off the ice. He's not respected by most of the people in the league. and it's just not me. That's a fact. So once he said that, I think the elbow, yes, you're playing hockey, and that happens. He felt him coming, so that I think it's a involuntary reaction to kind of get that arm up. It's hockey. It's hard to explain unless you play hockey. And then until Doughty said that, and it went all over the NHL Network, then it started.
Sure.
And Tkachuk hasn't laid off though. He fucking goes right after him. He's not afraid of him, that's for sure. And that's what Derek was just saying.
Nor should he be.
Nor should he be. That's the grittiness. There's not too many of those guys anymore. They're just a bunch of candy asses.
And what happened? Yeah, go ahead. Well, I was going to say what happened before that elbow. You know what I mean? Before he threw that elbow, I mean, I think personally when I watched it, I think he meant it, frankly. You know what I mean? But at the same time, he's probably sending a message. I mean, maybe before that, Doughty was chirping him. Was chirping him a whole bunch. So he probably looked over his shoulder real quick, saw him coming, and said, "Guess what? I'm going to throw a little bit of shoulder into your chiclets." So here we go.
I was check your teeth. It might validate the fact that he was a little butthurt on, what you're going to do that to me.
Yeah.
So we're probably a little surprised to see Edmonton 7-1, 7-0, Buffalo 7-1. I mean, if we made predictions 2 weeks ago, I don't think any of us would have called that.
Nope.
Especially not Edmonton. Edmonton's big, or Buffalo. Buffalo's got a fucking intramural soccer coach or some shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Buffalo is the one that we would say we wouldn't. I mean, I always think they should be up there, but this, to see them up there, I don't know that I would have said, yeah, they're definitely going to be up and start out of the gate like that. Edmonton, I don't know that I'm that surprised. You got the best player, one of the best players in the NHL with McDavid. God damn it, I kind of expect that. Whether it happens or not, let's see how, when we get 80 games in. But
yeah, the Draisaitl, is really good too, and James Neal. So I mean, they do have some goal scorers on that team, and they should be winning games. I think with Buffalo, we talked about Hutton. I mean, right there, 2 shutouts, 70-some saves. Is that the piece of the puzzle that helps them propel them to the next level? We talk about it. We had Eddy on tonight, right? Goaltending is what takes these teams to the next level. If you don't have a goaltender that's stopping those pucks that might have got, the forward gets by a defenseman and the goalie makes a good save, that's going to save your ass and help you win the game. So
it's a lift too.
Yeah.
Goalie makes a big save like that. That's a lift for your team.
Yeah. So right now in the NHL, Colorado's on top. Who said they were good? And then Edmonton's in second place, Buffalo in third, Washington, Boston in fifth. So,
what's Tampa Bay's record? I mean, they were on fire all last year. Where are they at right now?
19.
4-3, 4 wins, 3 losses, 9 points.
Yeah, a little surprised about that.
Arizona's doing okay. They're 4-2. That's big. Phil Kessel had a power play goal the other night. Not too bad, but
yeah, I see Steppen thinks that they're starting to feel it. I think they're coming into stride with Kessel getting his first goal, and they're starting to feel it in the locker room. I think they're going to be something to see. It's a long season still ahead of us, so we'll see how things move here.
Yeah, watching that. Yeah, go ahead, Pat. Yeah, they got Edmonton coming up on Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, the Wild are -14 in goal differential.
Yeah, that's the thing with them right now. And watching them play is they can't seem to score, right? They do have goal scorers on that team, but they can't seem to score. I mean, I think Hunt probably is one of their top scorers as a defenseman.
They were taking penalties and then getting smoked. They were just goal after goal and bursts, right? I think within a minute and a half or something, they had 3 goals on them the other night.
Yeah, and when you're only scoring 1 goal a game, you're not going to have a very good plus-minus in the goal differential. I mean, I think last night's game was the most goals they've scored all season, and they had three goals. But that's an issue. Watching the Habs play the the last couple of nights. They do look pretty good. Last night they didn't have Carey Price in net. Was that the difference in the game? You never know. But they had back-to-back games Saturday and Sunday, so Price didn't play Sunday night. But I thought the Habs looked pretty good. Max Domi was looking pretty good. They got a couple young bucks that are.
Team. Nick Suzuki for rookies, then put some bucks in the back of that. He's playing solid for a rookie. Good to see.
Yeah, I thought the Habs looked pretty good. They didn't compare to when I watched the Avalanche play, but they, I think they're going to be one of those teams that are in the middle of the pack, maybe fighting for that wild card spot. I think they might have a decent season, so we'll see what happens. We'll quote me on that one.
Speaking of rookies, how about Capo versus Hughes so far? Just got to talk about them due to their draft stock where they came off the board, obviously. But
yeah,
I think Hughes, I think he's got 1 goal, 1 assist so far. Capo 1 goal, no assist. I think Capo's -6 overall, and I think Hughes is -4. So young bucks kind of still trying to get their feet wet,
Still learning.
Still learning. So.
And man, that's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure for a kid 18 years old. I mean, a lot of these guys at least go play college for 3 years, right? So, I mean, we all played college sports. If you went onto a college team your freshman year, you were even a little intimidated then being a freshman, to the seniors, right? So sure. This kid's going right into the mix with these NHL players. And, I mean, it happens a lot now. Pedersen last year, really young. But still, it's got to be an adjustment period for these young bucks to go from playing for the national development team, to the NHL. I mean, it's just a different level. We talked to Greenway a little bit about it. His first season, everything happens so much faster. You got to have your head up a lot quicker. You got to have your passes a lot faster. Your shots got to come off faster. Everything is at a different level of speed. And until they adjust to that speed of the game, they might have these little bit of slumps on the stat sheet.
They've got Hughes on the power play too as an 18-year-old rookie. It's a lot.
They had Gretzky on the NHL Network, and they asked Gretzky about their little slump because Hughes had 4 goals, 1 assist in preseason, which is kind of a whole different game, I think. But anyways, Gretzky on the NHL Network, he said, "Listen, they're playing with men now. The best in the world. The NHL is the best league in the world. So nothing prepares you for that, so yeah."
No, and it's the media, you got the media too, that's trying to, I remember like before the Rangers played the Devils this year, they're trying to make it all about Hughes versus Capo. I mean, it's like, and I remember Capo kind of saying, this isn't about, me versus him. It's the Devils versus the Rangers. You know what I mean? So they're already having to try to deflect that attention, what I mean, off of themselves, which, like you say, as young guys, I mean, all of us were basically blacked out in some bar somewhere at that age. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's that you can't imagine. Yeah. I mean, you can't. These guys are sitting here on, being interviewed. Yeah. It's crazy. I can't imagine the pressure that these guys are under. But both. I mean, a lot of them make it look like they can handle it pretty well too, though. So that's kind of a neat aspect of it as well.
Hughes scored his first goal versus his brother, the Vancouver Canucks. I don't know if you guys knew that. His brother plays defenseman. He's a defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks, and it was in Jersey. Huge family. Yeah, huge family showing up. They had a box, obviously, and I think the same thing happened with the Tkachuk brothers last year. Huge showing in Ottawa. Half their shirt was Ottawa, half was Calgary. Same thing with the Hughes family in Jersey the other night. Half their shirts were Vancouver, and half were Devils, which is pretty cool.
The youngest, Hughes, is supposed to be the nastiest of the 3, right?
Yeah, he's at the development program, and they say he's even better than.
Didn't he commit to Notre Dame already or something like that?
I'm not sure on that.
Yeah, well, maybe not. But.
Yeah.
You're the nerd. Look it up.
That was SUNY Canton, isn't it? The Kangaroos or some shit?
Kangaroos, yeah.
Yeah, a little local news, Appleton Arena. The actual ice rink is going to be named after the Torrey family, which donated a ton of money for the renovation. So just for the local listeners, it still will be called Appleton Arena. So don't worry about that. That nostalgia is not going to be taken away from the rink. It's just going to be the actual ice surface itself is going to be named after the Torrey family. So I was wondering if they were talking about taking Appleton off the front of the building, but that's not happening. So I guess the Torrey family goes way back to the 20s and has been a part of that St. Lawrence for a long time. And the Appleton family, actually way back, is the one who donated to build that rink. So
yes, Michael Peters Appleton.
Yep.
So, guys, I mean, we kind of got our show wrapped up here a little bit. I haven't heard the producer in my ear yet, but I know it's coming. Great interview. I can't talk enough about talking with Eddy Belfour. I mean, what an experience for us to be able to talk to them and have them come promote their product on our show, help us promote them across Chicago and Texas. And I mean, you guys want to reflect a little bit on that before we go? And
he just said he's sending us bottles, so make sure you email.
Yeah, get those addresses out there.
Well, we have to. Belfour Spirits marketing department, Elizabeth, has been instrumental in putting this together for us. So just a shout out to Elizabeth, and thanks for everything that you did over the last couple months. We've actually been talking with Belfour Spirits since the summer, and they, like they say, they age these barrels so long that we kind of had to sit around and wait until they put the product on the shelf. So we've been waiting for it for a long time, and it's great to have them on the show, and I can't wait to get them on again.
Is Elizabeth good looking?
I don't know if she's probably still listening to the show. You can find out.
Elizabeth.
There we go.
I don't think it would work. I don't think Pat could work for Belfour Spirits. He'd have like a little drill gun, and he'd be like, drilling holes in the barrel, sticking a straw through it.
Yeah,
His product would be gone, and he'd be laying on the floor.
Sign the sexual harassment form first day.
Yeah,
that's in my contract. It'll happen.
Okay, boys, what an episode. This will be one to remember. And if you haven't listened to our other 78 episodes, go to BlueLineHockeyClub.com or any popular podcast platform. You can find them all out there. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just about every social media platform.
YouTube.
And don't forget to go to YouTube. We have our show on video now, so if you want to watch instead of just the audio, you can get the video of the show on YouTube, our YouTube channel. I don't know if there's a specific one, but just Google.
You see how much Derek drinks.
yeah.
Search us on YouTube. It's kind of a fun our ugly mugs for about an hour. So check us out on YouTube. All right, boys. Another nasty interview, boys. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice.
Tell ya.
Widow.
Oh, doctor.
Meow.
Keep your head up.
Meow.